Hello and welcome to My Cozy Retirement. I'm Tanya and I'm glad you're here. This video is not going to be a happy video as we've had a loss in our family this week. I wanted to come on and let you know how come the intended video of my thrifted clothes and try on is not happening this week. So the loss in our family was one of our four-legged furry family members. I'm going to offer this as a bit of a tribute to Teddy, who passed away on February 23rd, 2024. He was 14 years old. If you've seen my videos, you'll have seen him in some of the videos because he's one of 3 small dogs that we have at this time. And he was the toy poodle. It's been a really rough couple of days. Friday started out as a good day here. And Teddy came with me in the car because he loves his car rides. And I went thrifting for a little bit. And then I had a doctor's appointment. So on the way back from the doctor's appointment, Teddy was in the back. He has his little seatbelt on. I heard him and it sounded like he was going to throw up. Mainly it was phlegm that he was throwing up. Called our vets and asked them if there's any way they could take him in. And they said, bring him in. I thought that they would be able to give me some medicine for Teddy, and that would clear up whatever's going on. So just to go back a little bit, Teddy was my brother's dog. My sister-in-law was dying from cancer, and she decided to bring Teddy into her home for my brother Billy so that he would not be alone. So Teddy was a puppy when they got him, and he stayed with Billy until he was 9 years old. Billy loved Teddy so much. Teddy was the perfect companion once my sister-in-law died. Billy took Teddy everywhere. So Teddy and Billy were pretty inseparable. Then Billy got sick and he had to go in hospital. And during that time, it was about 8 months, during that time, Teddy lived here, but I would take him in to see Billy at the hospital and in the nursing home a few times a week. And then at the end of 2019, Billy passed. So it was a decision about where does Teddy stay. Well, Teddy was part of our home now, and so Teddy stayed with us. So in all told, we had Teddy for almost 5 years. And Teddy had so many wonderful characteristics. He had a couple that could have been changed a little bit. But he had so many wonderful characteristics. When we first took Teddy into the home, we had then 4 dogs. One was a large dog, a lab, named Kira. And then we have still Sedona and Foxy, and then we had Teddy. Kira passed away in 2022. She was about 14 years old as well, but we were then down to 3 small dogs. You'll have seen in some of my previous videos, Teddy, Sedona, and Fox. But lovable traits about Teddy. And I'm not going to say all of them because I've written them down and there's just so many lovable traits, and I'm sure I still didn't get all of them. Teddy loved drives, and I think it's because Billy first had him with him all the time in the car and later in the scooter. So Teddy loved drives in the car, which every time I was going to go out, he would be right there standing, looking at me with his big eyes, thinking, where are we going? You're not leaving me here. That's why I got doggy car seat belts, because I did not want him unsafe. So he would have his cushion in the back seat and the seat belt, which really just attached to his harness. So he was safe. And I would take him every single time pretty well that I left the house. I would take him. And he was fine sleeping in the car while I did my errands. And after a bit, I would take him out for a little walk and then put him back in. And he just loved it every single time. And I loved having him along with me. He also liked to sleep in the bed with us, which my dogs always have, so nothing new. Once I got into bed, and if I laid on my back, he would come and he would lay on top of my chest and want to be petted and cuddled. Then he would get down and go down to my feet and lay down at my feet, taking up all the room, even though he's a very little dog. And I would have about 6 inches if I was lucky for my feet. And he would love to walk with his pals, Sedona and Foxy, and even the 2 cats, Callie and Tigger, who came along with us. But the funny thing is, when Teddy was happy, I think he was happy most of the time, but when he was really happy, you would see him get up from whatever he was doing, and he would skip. His back legs would actually do a skip as he went to get his food or water, or just knowing he was going outside, he would skip along the way. I have never seen a dog do that, but Teddy did. I think he was showing how happy he was and that it was a very good day. He would be sitting with me on my chair, and if he got down to go and get a drink of water, he would start walking towards the kitchen, but he would stop and look back at the side. And then he would go a little further and he'd stop and he'd look back on the other side. And then he'd walk a little further, and he'd usually do that about 3 times before he would just continue to go and get his water. It was so funny. Just stop, kind of look back to the right, and then go again. Stop, look back to the left, and then go again. Kind of like saying, okay, I'm on my way to get a drink, just letting you know. He loved people. He loved when people came to the house. He loved when I took him to the hospital. He loved when I took him to the bad care home, because he loved to see everybody. He had such soft, curly fur. I loved his fur. And Teddy, out of the 3 dogs that we have, and including when Kira was here, actually it was 4 dogs, actually enjoyed his food. All the time he was always the last one to finish eating, because he would just eat it slowly and enjoy it. And when he was having a treat, it would be the same thing. He would just take the treat nicely and enjoy every bite. Teddy loved going in the shopping cart when we went shopping, when I was allowed to take a dog in, which in Ontario is not very many places. But I would put Teddy on the bottom of the cart with a blanket, and he would just sit there. He never ever tried to get out, and I think this might have been because Billy put him in the cart on his scooter, so he was quite used to it. And he would just sit there, and if somebody came, he would kind of sit up so they could pet him, and then he would lay back down. And he just enjoyed his time in the cart. We bought a dog stroller a year ago, because I also have, Sedona is a 3-legged dog, and when I go for long walks, I worry about him, and he does get a bit heavy to carry, so I bought a dog stroller. And it was really for Sedona, for our 3-legged puppy. But Teddy loved it. So it ended up usually Teddy and Sedona would go in the stroller. He had little floppy ears. They would kind of flop up and down when he ran. It was so cute. There are many more wonderful traits that Teddy had, but I think I've given the main ones. He's going to be so missed. He was my driving, walking, sleeping buddy. So I just want to end the video by talking a little bit about what I learned from Teddy, because one of the things that I've learned from Teddy is just to enjoy every day, every drive, every walk, every meal, and every visit with people that you love. Another thing would be that I need to put some happiness into my steps. Why not skip when I'm happy? And show others that, hey, this is a good day or a good moment. I also learned to take time to walk a little slower and to enjoy the surroundings and maybe sniff once in a while. But yes, being intentional is my word this year. And I think Teddy understood the word intentional much more than I did. Another thing I learned from Teddy is to stay close to those you love and feel calm around. And to be okay when life offers a lemon, and to make the necessary changes while accepting the new love. And if you don't feel great, some days Teddy didn't feel great. He would rest and sleep through the day and then come back to enjoy the next day. So I think there is a lesson in it's okay sometimes not to feel good, but you need to then rest and sleep and be ready for the next day that hopefully you'll feel a whole lot better. For Teddy, I think it was just enjoy the ride, whether it was in the car, on the walk, in the stroller, in a cart, wherever it was. Teddy just wanted to enjoy life and enjoy the ride. I really want to be intentional with my living and my days. And that means taking time to think, taking time to enjoy the outdoors, taking time to enjoy family and friends and my four-legged family members that I still have. Well, I shouldn't say four-legged because Sedorna is three-legged. So how about we say my furry family members? Put a skip in my step and just enjoy the moments. I don't think I finished the story. I took Teddy to the vets and they took him back, put him in a crate until it was time for a vet to see him, but I had to leave because they don't know exactly when the vet will have time. So I was just going to stay in town until I went back to pick up Teddy at 4. But I got a call very shortly after saying that I needed to come because Teddy wasn't able to breathe well and he needed to be euthanized. Oh, it was such a shock, because I was sure that we were just going to get medicine and go home. But that didn't happen. Teddy had a lump on the side of his throat, and we knew about it for the last 2 or 3 years. It was never really safe to remove the lump. He very well could pass during the operation, so it was decided that we'd leave the lump and just monitor it. I knew it had grown. I didn't think it'd grown that much, but it must have on the inside of his throat. So that was causing him to not have much of an airway to breathe. But also, it caused phlegm, mucus kind of stuff, that he couldn't get rid of very easily because there wasn't much of an airway and he could no longer breathe through his nose. So it was a decision that had to be made, and it had to be made then. And the vet basically said that he would just suffer if I took him home until he passed. My husband came and we spent about an hour and a half with Teddy. I was able to take him outside. He had a walk around the vet's building. He loved walking, and outside he seemed to be able to breathe a bit better. So he got to have walks and cuddles, and of course he already had his drive that day. And then we went in and we sat with him while they gave him the needle, and we brought Teddy home. So we have a burial spot for our furry family members, and Teddy was next to go in. So I buried Teddy with his blanket that he always had in the car with him and a toy, and we're left with a really big hole from a very small dog. I actually think that Teddy's made one of the biggest impressions, though, in the shortest amount of time. So, the short end of the story is that I won't be putting up the thrifted clothing video this week. I'm just going to add this on, and part of it is a tribute so that I can look back. Teddy was born in 2010 and passed away in 2014 and will always be in our heart and our memory. Thank you for joining me, for letting me tell you the story about Teddy, and I hope you enjoyed the pictures along the way. Take care, have a wonderful week, and I hope to see you next week. Bye-bye.